Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines we have for you this week in Congress. You're going to want it. Ripple partner universal rails are the next step. Oh my gracious. Mojo Loop, XRP Ledger automated market makers, ladies and gentlemen. And get this, the eclipse today, we got the timeline for you. And Ripple CEO makes a bold prediction about the crypto space this year, 2024. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $2.83 trillion market cap for crypto, up 4.2% right now. I remind everybody, 3+ trillion was the all-time high for cryptocurrency. We're sneaking back up, and right now, Bitcoin is 72,100 plus, 3,600 plus for Ethereum, 106.8 plus market cap for Tether. Right now, XRP still at the number 7 spot, but we're 60 cents, up 1.9 on the 24, off by 0.7 still on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly, showing 61 cents on Fiat Link, ranging between 59 and 61 cents. We're at the top of that range. Who knows? Maybe XRP decides to break out this month. How amazing that would be. I trust capital, ladies and gentlemen. The only thing better than buying crypto is buying tax-free crypto. And you're going to learn so much more at XRP Las Vegas. There's not many times you're going to get this many incredible people, top industry leaders in the same room with you. So you can talk to them too, not just hear from them on stage. You will be able to get access to these people, no question about it. This is going to be a remarkable, remarkable 2-day conference, May 3rd, May 4th. Come here, I trust, talk and tell you about the power that they put into your hands when you open up an account with them. You are not going to believe it. Click the link underneath the video like so many others and get started. Ron Hammond right here from the Blockchain Association gives us one of his famous Week in Congress update. We certainly appreciate him for that. He says, Congress is back this week and the topic is AML in front and center for the Senate. Wally Adeyemo from the U.S. Treasury slated to testify in front of the Senate Banking Committee tomorrow. Treasury has been busy on comms and sanction enforcement front. Ron Hammond says here, the various threats rising across the globe. Treasury has been very active on the sanctions front. In late March, Treasury sanctioned 3 Russian crypto exchanges, 13 entities, and 2 individuals. This comes after other high-profile sanctions like Bitslato, which we covered in Binance. It's not just a Russian and North Korea, though. Treasury also recently sanctioned Gaza. And that was back in April. We know Hamas warned their donors to avoid crypto to traceability for law enforcement. We know despite these actions from Treasury, we will likely see Wally Adeyemo call for Congress to expand Treasury sanctions authorities for crypto. Adeyemo first unveiled this request at Blockchain Association Summit back in November 2023. You know, I've talked about this with OFAC and FSOC, Office of Foreign Asset Control, which is a split off of the Treasury for the foreign side, and FSOC being the Financial Stability Oversight Council, which is the domestic side, right? So pay attention to these 2 regulatory bodies. They're prudential regulatory agencies that do not need Congress's approval to take action on the matters that are in crypto, as long as there's a financial stability threat or national security issue risk to be perceived. FSOC and OFAC can take actions, but they're asking here politely for Congress to expand the Treasury's sanctions authorities for crypto. So we'll see how that plays out tomorrow. We see here hearing will certainly touch a crypto a decent amount. It is likely skeptics like Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is a Pinocchio and lied terribly at the last session about how much money was being siphoned by Hamas. And that number is still being believed by a lot of people. So they're trying to untangle all the lies that Senator Warren has told. That's why it's so important we get John Deaton up there to unseat her ass. Because, you know, we don't need more lies. What we need is a real leader, and that's what John Deaton is, a real leader. There's a growing crypto fatigue on the Hill, though. We got to fight that. The Senate has been especially focused on crypto AML, largely driven via the skeptics, which blame crypto for funding Russia's invasion in Ukraine and now to the October 7th attacks. As they say, never let a crisis go to waste. Yeah, we just made a video about it, Ron. Will this lead to concrete policy? At this stage, it is unclear, but given the House that has one vote margin, a split Congress, and being presidential election year, it is hard to get anything done, crypto-related and not. This won't be the end of the AML narrative battle, though by any means. Financial Committee is expected to have a hearing next week on ransomware, and which will cover crypto as well. For crypto skeptics and supporters, time is short for any crypto bill, good or bad, to move this Congress. That's why I believe if they're going to get something through, they're going to need to attach this to a larger bill. And if they get it done this year, because of all the things that Ron mentioned. Shout out to Ron for that information. Volante, Ripple partner, convo with Citi, Ripple partner, about the new faster payment regulation in the EU. Now that the 10-second fast payment regulation has been implemented, the next steps from here is universal rails. Let me just bring this conversation in where that begins to talk about that right here.
Products that your customers can use and the right backup to make it consistent, especially if there's a remaining very successful transaction product sitting next to it, like SEPA has in terms of SEPA credit transfers. So this regulation is going to help. It will bring us forward in that respect, but there's other things that the banks need to do. So what do I mean by that? I mean, the API solutions that need to sit by this are critical as well to really maximize the benefits. That's one of the ways we need to go. So that's one of the things we see. I suppose the other thing to note here, I think, that probably is being pushed with the regulation is universal rails for instant payments then start driving the next generation of products as well. So I think pushing this out across Europe is really developing critical infrastructure effectively for future opportunities or future functionality that people can use. So I think there's a few different areas that the regulation is driving at, but so I think it will lead to greater usage, but on its own it won't. It needs good partners to make that happen and consumer use cases.
Next step is user rails, universal rails. Come on in. Look, this is super exciting because it's where we're going, and you're going to see real quick. Brad Garlinghouse is going to tell you how excited he is. Emails from the Mojo Loop Foundation discussing Ripple and Stellar specifically as bridges. You can't make this up. Mojo Loop, Bill Gates Foundation, right? Mojo Loop spread across the entire continent of Africa to help with moving money and value. Yeah, that Mojo Loop. You can see here, since this is a Ripple fork they're talking about right now, with Finer Act, Apache.org they're talking about here. You'll see in a second. Since this is a Ripple fork, it should be no surprise that it has massive overlap with a different Ripple fork that we've seen in this community before, Stellar, which technically is not a fork. It's just a direct copy of the ledger. I agree that the push payments process immediately are the right way to go. When we wrote the Stellar Bridge, one of the reasons it never reached deployment was the lack of existing deployments and users of the Stellar network. I bet that's changed now. With the recent announcement that IBM Stellar will be partnering, this may yet change as someone deploying Mojo Loop. And then it goes on to talk about here, well, in your view, what's the major difference between Mojo Loop and Stellar? What are the advantages to Mojo Loop and Finer Act Mojo Loop bridge components similar to Finer Act Stellar? So they're looking at all these differences right here because it's all about to get lit up. They're about to start using all of this. And this is going to be one of the big reasons why. Because Ripple is going to launch a stable coin, which is going to help bring enormous amounts of liquidity to the network. And the automated market makers are going to begin to allow the people that really need to use it, which are market makers every day, right? And market participants will be able to use access of XRP through automated market makers because they know they won't have to rely on the price of the order books on centralized exchanges to use it. That's the whole purpose here, right? And it is going to change things. Listen to Will from Crypto Insight UK.
Listen to what this crypto billionaire has to say will bring mass adoption to a network, and then think about what the XRPL is doing right now.
Order books are nice, but I do like the AMM model because it's very simple. And if you're trying to onboard a few billion people who, even when they look at a stock app in traditional finance, are like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand this bid and ask. And Whereas here, just buy and sell it. There's no order book. There's a pool of magic liquidity, and all that you get, it spits out a price. And I think I like that. I like that's very native to our space. It's easy to use, can onboard the long tail of people onto trading whatever it is they want to trade, and adding liquidity is just adding, A and B asset to a pool. So I actually like the AMM model. I know it's simple. I know it doesn't require a lot of TPS speed to execute, but I think it fits with the type of person who is drawn into this, who doesn't have the access to a Robinhood or one of these
I love how at the end, our buddy Raul Powell, look at here.
The access to a Robinhood or one of these
I don't know what Raul goes on about, but I know Raul is also a big Solana investor. So I know he's in XRP too, but I just love that Arthur Hayes pointed that out, because I believe it is going to be a game changer and inflection on what is taking place, right, in this market, and how it's going to be perceived by market makers and market participants that need to use a new innovative solution like Ripple and the XRP ledger. Come on in. And here's more evidence that the tokenization is happening. Securitized XDC is the perfect position here. They're talking about, we love it. Anything with utility we love. Securitized talking about their partnership with BlackRock. Yeah, it's meaningful. They say the calls have gone up with people wanting to work with them. I bet they have.
News. BlackRock has made a strategic investment in Securitized. Talk to us about what that partnership might look like moving forward. Have you gotten that far in discussions?
First, we were very pleased that BlackRock has not only selected us as their partner for tokenization, but that also have made a strategic investment, and they've taken a board seat in the company. So for us, this is a hugely important relationship. It's the largest asset management manager in the world, but it's also, shows their commitment towards the space and our company. Of course, we're expecting this to be the first of many different projects. We're not allowed to talk about the roadmap. We're focusing on what we're doing now. But yes, this is not, as you can imagine, from an investment happening alongside with the project, this is not a one-off relationship.
Are you working with any other institutions that you can tell us about, other than the ones you've already mentioned?
Well, the ones that are not announced, we're not allowed to talk about it. But as you can imagine, we've been talking to many institutions over the last years. And as we have been adding large asset managers to our portfolio of customers, we bring them one step closer to be able to do something. And after the announcement of this project, obviously, we got a massive amount of attention and companies that either were talking to us already, or new companies that have reached out to us to see what they can do. So I think that we're going to...
Nobody wants to be last. Right? Nobody wants to be like, hey, we heard, I'd love to hear how these calls are going. Yeah, we saw the BlackRock news, so we're just wondering how we could get started too, so we don't get buried by everyone, right? It's going to go something like that. Ripple CEO makes another bold prediction for 2024. Come on in, Brad. We want to hear it. What you got? Let's take a look at it here. He has expressed his optimism about the cryptocurrency market, predicting that its total value will double by the end of 2024, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? Bring it. He says he predicts the crypto market will double in size to $5 trillion by the end of 2024. And you know what? We love this. Let's get into this very quickly. It's not a long article. Let's read this real quick. The CEO of blockchain startup Ripple CEO, combined market capitalization of cryptocurrency market topping $5 trillion this year. Brad Garlinghouse told CNBC that he expects the entire value of the crypto market to double, citing macro factors including the arrival of the first U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF, as well as the upcoming so-called Bitcoin halving. I've been around in this industry for a long time, and I've seen these trends come and go. I'm very optimistic. I think the macro trends, the big picture things like ETFs, they're driving the first time real institutional money. You're seeing that drives demand, and at the same time, demand is increasing, supply is decreasing. That doesn't take an economics major to tell you what happens when supply contracts and demands expands. That's exactly right. The first U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved January 10th by the SEC. And they didn't want to, but they had to. They trade on U.S. stock exchanges and allow U.S. institutions, retail investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin without directly owning underlying asset, as we know. And it goes on here to say... the total market capitalization was roughly 2.6 of April 4th. The market were to double, that would imply a new crypto valuation of 5.2. Bring it on. I do think we could see a massive growth spurt in this space by the end of the year if we get that the 5 trillion, if we get the stablecoin legislation. Now, maybe it's enough from the ETF. Maybe it's enough from the Bitcoin having to drive the market to 5 trillion. I don't know, but I think stablecoin legislation could really help get that done. Goes on to say here, positive sign for U.S. crypto regulation. One of the factors Garling House sees pushing crypto market to new highs is possibility of positive regulatory momentum in the United States. This year being an election year, crypto hopefuls are optimistic that the next administration will be more accommodating to the crypto industry and with a policy focus. We know that SEC Gary Gensler has been aggressive in his enforcement on crypto companies, including Ripple itself. The SEC targeted Ripple, as we know, the whole drill with all of that to go. So it's going to see about this legislation. That's what we need to see, right? We need to see about this legislation happening. That's what we need to see. Everything went up fast already this year. There's just a lot of activity, a lot of adoption, new regulation, ETFs, the halving, miners needing to get out of bed. And we see here, you're going to see violent moves up and down until that new all-time high, which I think will be 150,000. Beard added, and then you see it probably happens this year. I think it moves fast, and I think the momentum, the supply shock, it moves crazy quickly. So you know what? We love hearing that. We'll see what happens here, but shout out to Brad for putting it on the table. Someone reminded me in the video this morning and comments on Twitter that 5 years ago, Brad said that banks would be holding crypto by now too. He did. And you know what? I could see why that was wrong, because none of us could have predicted what really happened. And what really happened was regulatory capture of the SEC and then a giant suppression of Ripple and XRP, and in turn, the crypto industry giving Ethereum a free pass. And none of us knew that that was the situation until Digital Asset Investor uncovered it. And then we all grabbed it. And that's an important part. We're not going to let it go until we see that that has been publicly recognized and people have been held accountable and measures put in place to keep it from happening again. That's what we need to see. Just like we want to see this, Egg Rag Crypto says the life-changing triangle, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. Loving this for us. Even without being a TA expert, one look at the ascending triangle on the monthly time frame screams bullish. It's time to play smart. Rotate profits into XRP, accumulate more, and then just sit back and wait for the magic to happen. Well, I'm doing just that. Yeah, you see right here is the example of an ascending triangle with this constant trend going up here. And at some point, you see a break where it reaches that point. Well, look, here's our ascending triangle right here. And you have to go by either, is it this blue line, which could take us all the way there before it breaks out, or is it the ascending triangle running into this white MyATL, right? Which is the multi-year ascending triangle line, trend line. So this is what we're looking at here, right? And we know how important it is. That's why it's so bullish when we get over that $1.20 mark, because you can see all of this right here, that resistance right there that we've run into. We get above that, I mean, $17, $27, apparently it's in our futures just waiting for us and could be here as soon as November of this year. And if it hits around that time, that looks a lot to me like the 2017, 2018 setup, and God only knows what could happen then if we see a repeat of that. Woo! Not financial advice from me or anyone else, just our digital perspectives. We're going into the Freedom Zone. I hope you will join us, ladies and gentlemen. We got something for you to see today. You're going to want to see all of it. It's April 8th, and the eclipse is upon us. And we got a timeline to show you exactly where you'll be in the United States so you can find out exactly how it'll affect you and when. We're going in there right now. Come on in. All right.